Hello, everyone. This is Reginald Martin, aka Ku Akaru, and I'm here today with Queen Mystic,
Hello.
also known as Voice Martin, who happens to be my daughter. But I want to make clear that Miss Martin here is a very, very talented astrological chart reader. And I have been a customer of hers, and I can attest to it. So just because she's my daughter, I would not be telling you about her if I didn't think she was good. So this is about some serious business here, okay?
Right.
So, all right, Miss Mystic,
Hello.
how are you today?
I'm absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
So, man, we're out here in nature, just sitting here out at the park and letting the breeze just blow across our face.
So
And
nice.
it is.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful out here.
It is absolutely awesome. So, today what we're going to be talking about is how to find a cheat code for your life. So what Queen Mystic does is that she is an astrological birth chart reader, and she is absolutely phenomenal at it. So, Miss Queen Mystic,
Yes.
can you explain to me what you mean by a cheat code for life?
So when we think of a cheat code, we think of typing a few buttons in on a game in order to get to the next level with more ease and less difficulty. So what a birth chart does is I'm able to decipher your cheat codes in order for you to live your most fulfilled, empowered life.
So you're saying then that when you're reading a birth chart, basically what you can do is you can help a person.
Ultimately, I can help them understand their life purpose and what they incarnated on earth to do, and the tools they came here with to accomplish it, characters they'll come in contact with, and give them a little insight on the lessons they may have to learn to express their full potential.
Okay. You basically then how is it that their birth chart gives them a cheat code? In other words, how does that work?
So the way it works is, before we decided to incarnate on earth, we decided the life we wanted to live, what we wanted to accomplish, and that is stamped into your birth chart on the exact moment that you incarnated and entered earth. So what a birth chart is the exact way that the planets and the stars were aligned to create your exact personality. And the energies of each planet that revolve around our sun affect us in many different ways individually, and specific to our aura, our persona, our personality.
Okay, so hold up, sir. Let me see if I understand this. So you're saying to me that at the moment we're born, all the planets are aligned a certain way.
Yes.
Okay, and that alignment basically kind of gives us our energetic essence or signature.
Yes.
Okay, or Khemetic teachings, they call that your signature.
Okay.
So your energetic signature.
Yes.
And you are stamped with that at the day you're born, is what you're saying.
Yes. And so what I'm reading is who and what you are and what you came here to accomplish, and how your gift will ultimately affect the world by living at your highest potential. So
in other words, there are some times that we might have difficulty figuring out what our purpose is.
Our path, the path we should take, what our talents are, how to convert these talents into money or purpose. And with the awareness of your chart, I can decipher and spell out all of this for you.
So give me an example of how you would do that. So someone's chart that you might have read that, say, for instance, says something about their personality.
So, for example, one of my clients that I'm currently studying his chart at the moment, he is a Leo sun, but the placement of his sun is in a house that smothers the light of his personality, in a sense that it suggests he went through certain life trials and tribulations that caused him to be extremely self-conscious. So what do we know about a Leo? We know Leos are exuberant, they're expressive, they're the performers of the zodiac, they're what my generation likes to call the hype man of their friends. They love to be given attention just as much as they love to give attention to others. But with this person's specific placement, it shows that although they do want to be recognized and given love, they are shy and self-conscious due to painful and traumatic experiences he experienced not only in childhood but in school, and it has resulted in a conflict of energy. So on one hand he's this extremely creative, spiritual, loving, generous person, and on the other hand he has a lack of trust for people and is self-conscious about putting his art out there and exposing himself and truly living in his highest expression due to the pain and trauma he's experienced. So what I would tell him is what he has to learn and go through and the lessons he could stand to gain from his pain that he could in turn master and essentially help other people through the pain that he experienced and live in his highest expression.
Okay.
And ultimately break out of his shell.
So by looking at his birth chart, you can kind of see the path that he's come from, and you can also see the path and where it's going. But what your chart can do is illuminate for him and anyone. It can illuminate what that path going forward should be or can be, because, if you make certain choices.
Exactly. Because from his perspective, he may not understand why certain things are unfolding in his life in this way, or what was the reason for this pain. That's a question people often have in life, is why do I have to go through this pain? Why would quote unquote God put me through these trials, you know? And breaking down your birth chart will help you understand that everything that has happened in your life up until this point was divinely planned by you. And reading your birth chart will just give you insight into your plan, like what you planned before you came here. Okay,
so hold up. Talk to me about, you made a comment about something being divinely planned by yourself or ourselves. Where does that happen? What are you talking about is divinely planned?
Okay, it's understood that before we come down to earth, we sit down with our spirit guides. We sit down with the characters who are agreeing to be in our next life play, and we decide how everything is going to play out, what we want to accomplish, how we're going to accomplish it, and what tools we need to accomplish it, and the people we need to come in contact with that will propel us toward that purpose.
Okay. So you're saying that basically in a life between lives, in a sense,
yes,
that we're sitting down with all of our major players. Because really, when you think about it, and we were talking earlier about that a birth chart is like a cheat code for life, because life can be analogous to a game or a stage play.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So in this sense, what we did was, in the life between lives, you're saying that we basically planned our major characters, the major people that are going to have a major influence in our life, like our parents. We chose them. So you're saying all the things.
Our kids, our pets, what career choice we wanted to have, and just even our vehicle of how we would approach life.
Okay, so tell me about. So let's look at the guy that was the Leo. And he's basically someone who wants to shine. The Leo personality is someone that likes to shine, that likes to be out front, that is in the light. I mean, their sun sign is the sun, you know. But this person's sign, or this person has in a particular house some planets that says that is something that he really struggles with, that he might even have a fear.
Yes.
So talk to me about how you can help him with that.
So what I would do is, through his reading, I would explain all of his personality traits, all of the ways that the planets energetically affect him, and even confirm the struggles he went through in early childhood. And it's almost like validation, in the sense that your struggles are validated for a higher purpose. So I would tell him that through his painful childhood experiences, this is where his creativity stems from. He creates through his pain. He creates through his emotional experiences.
Okay, so you're saying, so like a poet.
Yes,
A
or
poet creates through their pain. So there might be a painful love breakup.
mhm,
So that would be the impetus, or the in this case, this was the opposite thing that ended up being the impetus to his beautiful creativity.
exactly. I would tell him that his pain is his source of inspiration, and to use it for his outward expression.
Okay, so in other words, it could almost be like his poetry, in a sense, is almost like therapy for him.
Yes, exactly. It is a direct correlation. With Leo having such high energy, he needs an outlet for expression. Channeling his experience is a direct correlation to his success based on what I'm viewing through his birth chart. So this would give someone a more positive outlook on why they went through certain things, or like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's turning your pain into your power.
So, in other words, you're saying to me that one of the ways you could help him is to discover, in a sense, that he could use poetry, because he might not have poetry. That might not be something that he does, but he could do something that's close to it, something that's what
Artistic in another way. He could be a painter. He could be great at working with kids. There's many ways that creativity could be expressed and played out.
Okay.
And based on his placements, I can look at where a planet is in his chart and know what talents are associated with that placement.
So in other words, you might look at his chart and you can say, oh, he should be an accountant, or this person should be like in music, or this person should be an actor. You can look at their chart and see places where they could fit their particular skills.
Yes. And I wouldn't necessarily suggest a job. I would tell them, oh, your mind is very analytical. You have very perceptive way of looking at the world, or you have an eye for beauty that would benefit you in markets that cater to women, or fields of aesthetic pleasure. I would more go along the sense of what your talents or gifts are, and you ultimately decide, because we all have free will. You decide how you want to apply these talents.
Okay.
And ultimately lead a more fulfilling life.
So I know that for a lot of people, it is we struggle, with trying to find our purpose. So, and I know that from different people that you've done readings from, I know that you have illuminated that path for them.
Yes.
But even still, when you illuminate that path for them, so tell me, if a person does find the cheat codes to their life, does that mean that life is going to be easier?
Well, easy is subjective, but if you have the cheat code, it's almost like a roadmap to life. So if you do approach a roadblock with the awareness of your birth chart, you're aware of this challenge or what you need to do to conquer this roadblock most effectively. So for instance, if you know that you have a quick temper, it would benefit you to work on the way you present a message to avoid conflict and maybe expressing yourself in a more productive way that doesn't lead to an explosion. When a situation comes that threatens your temper or gives you an opportunity to explode, with knowledge of your birth chart, you're able to apply a level of awareness that lets you know, okay, I'm known to have a quick temper in certain situations like this. So what can I do to grow in this area and move closer to healing? You would say, I'm not going to have a temper right now. I'm going to figure out how I can calmly express what I'm feeling to that person in order for them to receive my message in the best, most productive way possible. So whereas before your birth chart, you may have gone off the rocker and your temper might have gotten the best of you and the situation may have exploded into something that wasn't favorable. But now that you're aware of your tendency to operate in this way, you can maneuver around it and make better decisions.
So then you could say that a birth chart is like, once you have that knowledge, then you're able to channel or direct that energy in a more positive fashion because you have knowledge of yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. So in that sense, that became your cheat code for that situation.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Growth is a choice. It can be easy or it can be hard. You can either learn through conscious awareness or you can learn through pain and suffering. Okay. So with your birth chart, it makes it easier to learn through conscious awareness versus being unaware
and just stumbling
through life and learning through adversity.
And a lot of us, we can do that. So we can either, I've always heard it said that we can learn from our own mistakes or we can learn from others.
Right.
But we're going to learn the lesson one way or another.
Right, exactly.
You know, and so what I would see the birth chart is doing is allowing you to basically really step back from yourself in a sense and be more objective. Would you say that that's what a birth chart helps you with?
That is exactly it. It's almost like you're viewing life from your higher self, from your higher perspective. And from this perspective, you're able to make a better judgment, being able to see the bigger picture. You're able
to look at your personality in a way that is you, but it's not you.
Right, exactly. And it personalizes your experience even more because your birth chart is individual to you. No one else has what you have, and that is your gift.
All right, very good. Thank you. And again, I'm talking with Queen Mystic, and she is talking about how to find cheat codes for your life. Let's talk about something that's big for everybody, and let's talk about relationships. So a lot of us have an ideal of what we want to meet as a partner, or no, I won't even say we have an ideal as a partner. What we do is we have an ideal about what love should be like. But in many cases, trying to find that love becomes difficult. How can a birth chart help a person that has been struggling with relationships be better at finding a relationship or find the right relationship?
Right. So through your birth chart, I'm able to look at how you specifically give love and how you receive love. So with that being understood, I'm also able to see what counterpart would best serve you in helping you grow. Because ultimately, what do we all want out of a relationship? We want love, we want respect, we want growth, we want fun, we want, we all have our ideal list of what a perfect relationship would look like. By analyzing your birth chart, I can look at how you are in relationships, or maybe what your shortcomings are or your partner's shortcomings are, and how you can bridge the gap of better understanding of each other. So one of my favorite readings to do is a couple's birth chart reading, because it has helped me immensely reading my partner's birth chart and my birth chart. It really bridges the gap of understanding. So whereas you might question the motive of why someone does things or why they operate the way they do, looking at their birth chart will shed light on their outlook on love.
Okay. So are you saying then that a birth chart, would it be beneficial for somebody that's already married?
Yes, extremely beneficial. So in the past, I've done birth chart readings for couples, married couples, couples who are just dating. With married couples, I've come to understand that even though you may have been married to a person for 10 plus years, you never completely know someone, because we're all constantly growing, we're constantly evolving. But there's instances where you can grow together, and there's instances where you can grow apart. And growing apart stems from lack of understanding of the other person's direction or goal or journey, okay? So when you understand your partner's goal or journey, you then see how you can fit into it or not fit into it, and how y'all can help each other along your path, because relationships are contracts, okay? You're here to give one another something. You may not know what it is, but through your birth chart, we can connect the puzzle pieces.
So it's, again, a cheat code for a relationship.
Yes.
You can see kind of how puzzle pieces are fitting together or they're not fitting together.
You can see how your partner thinks, what their mental makeup is, their outlook on maybe how you act, or vice versa. Like how do your actions or the way you love affect them?
So wait a minute, I might not want my partner or anybody to know me that deeply.
Well, then that's when we have to get to or address the guardedness in your chart. Like, why are you so hesitant to be vulnerable? Okay.
Okay, interesting, huh? So this birth chart reading, especially if you do one for couples, then you definitely want to be with someone that you trust.
Well, generally, if you're interested in learning your partner, this suggests a desire to understand, a desire to grow together. So we're already meeting halfway with your desire to gain understanding, because that is growth in itself.
Right, definitely. And I think, and one of the things that I do know is that relationships is one of our major factors that really are an impetus to our growth. So depending on the relationship, you can also, it can stunt your growth.
True.
And you can be in relationships with people that end up wanting to confine you or control you. So, and you can probably see that type of stuff in somebody's birth chart as well. Now, would you recommend somebody secretly doing a person's birth chart?
No, definitely would not. Anything done in a deceptive nature could possibly end in non-favorable conditions, so to speak.
So it's about trusting people too.
Sure.
It's about you're doing this, and really and truly, a person that would you say that a person, well, if you get a birth chart done, it's more about for you. It's more about learning about your cheat codes, right? So it's not a tool to find out something about somebody else so that you can manipulate them or control them.
Because ultimately it's a complete invasion of privacy if this person doesn't want to share their deepest life insecurities with you, or their pain or their trauma. Like, this isn't yours to discover if they're not willing to share those aspects of themselves with you.
And in that case, you got to question the relationship, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you touched on relationships that could possibly be toxic for you. So I've even experienced couples' birth charts where the relationship is extremely toxic, but there's even lessons in toxicity, because one person's lesson may be to not be what other people need them to be and stand up for their individuality, but the person they're dating might be completely self-centered and controlling and just completely oblivious to that other person's needs. So they both have the lessons or the puzzle pieces for each other's growth, because essentially that person one needs to learn to stand up for themselves and live life through their individuality, and the other person needs to learn to respect boundaries and consider that everyone has their own perspective and way of living, and to respect that.
So the other person might need to learn how to come outside themselves and see somebody else's needs.
Right, exactly.
So in that case, they fit like a puzzle piece.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's where, again, you're learning through opposites.
Right, a mirror, the mirror effect.
Yes, yes. So that person becomes your mirror to see yourself in a way.
Right.
So in this case of the person that is that doesn't know how to stand up for themselves, at some point they might get tired of the person who is basically being self-centered and then stand up for themselves.
Right. But until that moment, they will continue to attract situations that make them face this lesson, so to speak.
Okay, this life lesson.
So until they learn this lesson, they will continue to attract those painful relationships that don't value them, that try to control them. But once they step in their true power, they'll attract a relationship that respects their boundaries, respects their needs and wants to cater to them just as much as they want to cater to you.
In that sense, then because of the cheat code, you can literally see what your pitfalls might be as far as relationships, because what ends up happening is a lot of times we do end up committing to the same type relationships. They might be the same, they might be different people, but the relationships still end up being the same.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of times what most people don't realize is that unless those individuals got together and conspired against you, then the only common denominator to all those relationships is you.
Exactly.
Therefore, when you know yourself, then you can know how to correct or how to handle certain things in relationships to make them better or make them different for yourself.
If you crave different results. Now, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. So if you do desire to make a change, your birth chart will help you shed light on areas that need more attention.
There you go. There you go. So if a person is tired of basically living through the same difficulties in their relationships,
Repeated
then
things.
the same repeated things, then they need a birth chart reading.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Because through studying birth charts, everyone has a theme of their chart, or a theme or pattern that they have to break in order to unlock their true potential, their fullest power, their highest expression. And those lessons usually are considered to be the most difficult ones. But if you're aware of them, it takes a level of difficulty off, because ultimately it's a cheat code and you can move and operate from that higher perspective.
So tell me, Queen Mystic, what is it that you get out of doing these birth charts? I mean, this sounds like this is a lot of work.
Man, so the ultimate fulfillment for me is giving my sitter clarity, direction, and a new sense of purpose. Like, every birth chart I've done, the person feels revved up. They feel energetic. They're ready to take on life again, because it's almost as if they have the answers. They know what they need to do. They know what direction they need to go in and what they need to do to achieve the desired success. And that gratification I get from that is so uplifting for me. And
I can imagine.
that's my fulfillment. Like, my purpose is being fulfilled by helping you realize your true power. Like that, there is no greater satisfaction or gratification for me. So, of course, just like I've done other people's birth charts, I've analyzed mine in depth. And helping people is my purpose. And walking in that just gives me this euphoric feeling. And helping others find direction and purpose brings me this sense of euphoria that confirms for me that I am walking in my purpose, which is ultimately what we're all here to do.
To find our way and find our gifts.
Exactly.
Okay.
And as many people as I can help as possible, that is what I want to do.
Awesome. Man, I can hear these birds and stuff chirping around, and this breeze that we're sitting out here in. This is like absolutely magnificent. So, guys, y'all should be here with this. Man, this is awesome. So, Queen Mystic, tell me, I mean, you're a young lady, okay? So how can a young woman like yourself be full of so much wisdom? Where does that come from?
Through my life experience, I've realized that wisdom does not have an age. And I've been able to make connections with people older than me and give them valuable advice, people younger than me. The wisdom I've collected didn't come from only this life. It has come from many past lives, which I've also been able to see into and gain knowledge and insight from. And that is what I tap into when doing a birth chart, is that stream of knowledge, that consciousness, my higher self. And I do my best to set ego aside and listen to spirit and soul in order to give the best reading possible for that person. So I'm not only relying on the number of years I've been on this earth, I'm pulling wisdom from the universe, from past lives, from my higher self, from my guides. There's an infinite bank of wisdom that we all have access to if we know how to draw upon it.
Yes, I so agree with that. That we have, and how I always kind of relate this stuff back to the Khemetic ideas, but there's two levels of this knowledge that or consciousness that we have. We have a personal consciousness, which they call the personal ma'at, and then you have the universal ma'at, and they're both in a symbiotic relationship. So that consciousness, so we feed it and it feeds us.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Queen Mystic, another area that is usually big for people is careers and business. So tell me a little bit about how you can help a person with that. Can a birth chart help a person figure out their career or their business or whatever they need to do?
Yes, exactly. It definitely can, 100%. By reading your chart and looking at your aspects and knowing where your talent is or what your gifts are, I can tell you what area of life or what direction to go in order to have the most fulfilling career. Because ultimately, if you look inside society today, the majority of people don't enjoy their jobs. It's the exchange of time for a paycheck. So by looking at your birth chart, I can tell you what direction to go in order to be able to do what you love and simultaneously make money from it. Because our gifts, our energetic gifts, translate into money if we apply it for the greater good. So ultimately, I show you how to serve yourself in order to best serve others. So how can I live my best life and put out the best possible energy and share my gifts with the world to better the world? Right.
Now, it might be that some people, a job is what they're suited for. Because I know that there are a lot of people who, they don't have a desire to be an entrepreneur.
True.
But you can still help that person as well define or find out what career that they might be best suited for.
Most definitely. Entrepreneurship isn't in everyone's chart. And there are many ways to express talents and gifts that don't apply to owning your own business. Teachers, for example, are very valued, and I'm sure we've all experienced those teachers who are really good at what they're doing and those teachers that are just there for a paycheck. So it's the difference between what your heart is into versus what you're doing for maybe the approval of society or a check or reasons that serve others instead of serving you.
Absolutely.
It's understood that money is energy, just like everything else on this earth. So what you put out is what you receive. So if you're doing something you love, if you're doing something you enjoy, something that not only benefits yourself but also benefits others, that energy will come back to you tenfold in many different ways, not just through financial gain, but love, abundance of all forms. Okay.
So people appreciating you and appreciating your gift and who you are.
And the contrast of that would be doing something you don't enjoy every day or something that doesn't bring you joy and putting those vibes out there in the universe. And when you notice shortages in certain areas, there's a direct correlation to your vibration.
Yeah, and I think all of us, well, I won't say all of us, but there are many of us that have lived through that, being in a job or being in something that we just absolutely hate. And having to get up every day and going to that job. That is one of the most miserable situations to be in, is to be doing something just for a paycheck and just because you don't feel like you can do anything else.
So the birth chart is where it separates going through the motions of life versus living with inspired intention. Yes,
that is awesome. So it sounds like, as far as what you do, it really is and does become a cheat code for a person that is really interested in a sense, shortcutting where they are, or I won't even say shortcutting. What's another word? It's not a shortcut, because there's no such thing as a shortcut. How would you characterize that, Queen
I
Mystic?
would call it an expedited path to self-mastering and fulfillment. Okay. So without the cheat codes, you're still going to make it through life and you may still ultimately achieve your purpose, but you may come across roadblocks that you may not understand, or once again, learning through adversity versus learning through awareness. So you're going to learn either way, as you stated earlier.
So I would say that even the birth chart gives you a different perspective about life, and that adversity might not be that if we're not aware of the idea that we do learn through adversity, then we look at adversity as a roadblock in many cases, or we might even feel sorry for ourselves or victimized.
Exactly.
But in this case, understanding your birth chart and understanding that you made choices before you got here. You're no longer a victim. You can't be a victim. And at that point, you can understand that you can stand up or get through the adversity so you can do whatever you need to do to move forward. But you know that you're not a victim, that you know that it's not out of your power to change that.
Yes. And that is ultimately what you're doing. You're claiming your power of choice, your power of free will with the enlightened perspective of what you're here to do.
Awesome.
What you decided to come here to do.
Awesome. Well, Queen Mystic, I think we'll probably look at wrapping it up here. Why should a person come to get a birth chart reading from Queen Mystic?
Well, you should get a reading from me when you're truly interested in learning your personalized cheat code for life, when you're tired of repeating the same relationship patterns and you're ready to attract your ideal partner, when you feel like your career doesn't give you the opportunity to truly express your gifts, or you're not exactly sure what those gifts are, a birth chart reading can bring so much clarity to you. You should get a reading from me when you desire to know how your vibration and energetic makeup affect your health. And last but not least, when you desire to know how you can achieve self-mastery and live life to the fullest, then you should definitely come get a birth chart reading from Queen Mystic.